Hello everybody. So for the last week I have had the pleasure of using, playing, and seeing the SteelSeries Rival 700, and I just wanted to go over the pros and neutrals and cons and just info so everyone can just kind of get, a better understanding of the mouse, and just thought that people might want to see. So first off, I want to talk about the ergonomics, just the feel of the mouse. It feels good. I have no complaints with it. I'm coming from the Corsair M60, and the M60 is roughly the same length and roughly the same width. The only thing that actually was a slight learning curve was the SteelSeries Rival 700 was taller. Not by a lot, but it is taller, so that was a learning curve. Aside from that, for this mouse, it's just very comfortable. It's easy to use. The buttons are all where you'd expect. The buttons are nice and wide, easy to click. You can click pretty much anywhere on any of the buttons, and they work great. Speaking of buttons, it comes with 1, 2, 3, 4, I guess 5 is the CPI. Not sure if that's considered. You got the mouse wheel, and then this button right down here, which is for me, with my size hand when I'm normally using it, there's no way I can actually reach it. Barely. If you set a macro, which I'll show you later in the SteelSeries Engine, you can set macros, just a little showing of that. I don't actually have any macros, but I'll just give you a little rundown of what it looks like. But you can set a macro for that button if you don't press it a lot and have it do something magical. So aside from that, going back to the ergonomics are very nice, comfy, easy to use, easy to just jump into. It's got a nice thumb ergo. I hope these grooves or these textures stay on. I've read that the previous rivals over time those smooth out. From what I've heard, they I don't know about redesign, but changed the material, I believe, for this one. So hopefully these texture marks won't go away. They'll actually stay and won't get all nice and soft. As everyone knows, it has the tactile feedback and the screen. We'll talk about those, and they're pretty sweet. I mean, the screen is a little gimmicky, but it has one awesome thing it can do. I'm sure a couple awesome things it could do, but one awesome thing that I think is really neat that they included for everyone. So going back to the buttons are huge. The mouse buttons are, I would say, almost like 50%, or at least like 45% of the entire mouse length, which is awesome. And going from wherever you click, it's easy to click, even all the way in the very back. If for some reason you're doing super claw and you're way back here, you can click with ease. That's pretty awesome. The forward and back are nice and wide, and they have a nice little bump on them, so you always know where they are. You don't have to look down, or you're not going to miss your mark. So if you're in game and you have these bound to something, which everyone usually does, that's really nice. I mean, you can definitely tell which button you're pressing without even looking or even thinking about it. And the tactile feedback, which I said earlier. In my previous video, I mentioned the first builds moved the motor side to side, and it actually affected some people's aim. So SteelSeries adjusted that and addressed that by moving the motor up and down, and I believe they more centered it, which is great, because by doing that, it doesn't affect your aim. And I can tell you from using it in Counter-Strike, it doesn't. I mean, you feel it. It's actually pretty awesome. It's as awesome as it would be on a controller, only you can fully customize it to do whatever you want. You can even have it do tactile alerts when you do click certain buttons. So that's pretty awesome. Speaking of the engine and the tactile alerts, I mean, let's just go ahead and open that up and see. So as you can see, you have different configs, and these are all onboard configs. So you can save them, and then it'll save them onto the mouse, and they're preset to come with different sensitivities off the bat and different colors. And I'm just using default. I don't have different config files. And then if you want to change it, just like you saw my screen, the little space, you can upload any image. It does actually surprisingly well with regular old GIFs. They don't have to be 2 colors. And then you can change your CPI, and the CPI has 2 settings, so the button jumps between 1 and 2. And oh my God. Oh, let's bring that down. That was insane. I don't know who can even use that. The RGB is independent from the mouse wheel and the palm, and you can just change the speed. You can do different things there. And each one you can change completely independently, like I said, so that's pretty cool. Going to this picture, it just gives you a nice idea. I guess you can just see the mouse side, the mouse top, and then the buttons. So you can have the buttons do all sorts of things. Every button can be macro, and then there's the tactile feedback, different things it can do. And every time you click it, it vibrates, which is pretty sweet. I don't personally use it, but I can see the reason why you would. Going back to the color, I forgot it has different kinds of color. I don't know if other mice do this, but it has angle snapping. So if you put it all the way up, it's like snaps to 45 and 90. So that's pretty interesting. Of course, you got your pulling rate, which changes. You can adjust that there. It gives you an idea of a little graphic. And then you have the acceleration and deceleration. I personally don't use a deceleration or acceleration. I want it to be just raw. So going back over there, where that's pretty much it. Oh, the macro editor. So the macro editor, you can come in here and set your key press macros. So that'd be cool for that one button that you don't use for anything else if you wanted to set up. You got live preview on off, configures, you can move them over, go from there, and that's pretty much it. So that's pretty much the engine. It's pretty straightforward, it's nice to use, and the software only supports Linux, and it doesn't support Linux, mark that off. It supports Windows and Mac. Why I think the screen is, yes, it can be gimmicky, but why the screen is pretty awesome is that if you are on Linux or if you don't want to install software, which I know some users don't want to do, you can press the CPI button, press and hold it, and voila. So from here, you can set everything from the mouse. You can see what version you're on firmware wise. You hit this button to go back. It's really intuitive. You just use the mouse wheel, you click the mouse wheel to go into the settings, and then you click the CPI button to go back. So you can go into the config. I'm on the default config. You can do sensor settings, polling rate, button mapping. So all your button mapping you can do all from this little screen, and then the name, whatever you want it to be called. It's just called default right now. And then you can switch between each config. And like I said, they're on board. So this is really cool. I am impressed. I know the screen is, comes off as gimmicky, but this little screen being able to set the entire mouse, aside from the RGB lighting, but like I said, the mouse comes with the 5 configs preset, so it's not like the lights won't change, but you won't be able to change from there. But every important setting, the sensor setting, the pulley setting, the CPI settings, can all be done from this screen, which I think is really cool. I think that's great. So moving on from that, the only other thing the screen can do if you have a Gamesense game is it gives you stats. So I know that part's kind of like meh. I don't expect anyone to be like looking at their mouse whenever they want to see the stats. So in Counter-Strike, for example, at the end of every round it tells you what gun you use, how many kills, the kill-death ratio, your KD ratio, your average. I don't think it tells you your accuracy, and I mean, it's there. It's not horrible. It's just kind of like a little added to it. Definitely gimmicky, but the fact that you can set the entire mouse up from the screen is amazing. So good on you, SteelSeries. That's pretty awesome. So if you have a Linux machine or you just do not want to install the software, you can still set everything from here. Plus, if you disconnect the cable, go to somewhere else, plug it into a fresh computer, all the settings that you set for this mouse carry over. So they're all on board on the mouse, which is great. The sensor that comes with it is the PixArt PMW 3360 sensor, and from what I read, it is the public version of Logitech's 3366 sensor, which is found on some of their mice, which is stated to be the best sensor around. I'm not too sure. I haven't used it, Logitech's sensor, but a lot of people hold it in high regard. So if it is that awesome of a sensor that people are saying, it's cool. I mean, you get it with the Rival 700. It's just a different number scheme. So that's pretty nice. Going back from there, excuse me, sorry about that. Those are basically all the main positives. The sensor is great. The feel is great. It's a nice mouse. It's a great mouse. It's an expensive price tag, but I would say it's pretty good. We're gonna move on to the neutrals and the cons. And you can make your decision however you think it's worth your $100 price tag or local equivalent. The weight which is a non-issue for me, it might be a huge issue for some people, is 135 grams. Now that's better. They shaved the weight from the initial statement, the initial announcement of the mouse. They said that it was going to be, I want to say 150 grams or like 159 grams, which is a heavy mouse. But my Corsair M60, which is what I'm comparing all this from, is 141 grams. So this mouse is 135 grams, which was a non-issue, but that could be a huge issue for you. And there is no weights. There's no adjustment weights on the bottom, which of course you can't. I mean, you can't do. Why? Because the fact that they already shaved the weight from 150 down to 135. So I'm assuming that's the lightest they could do. With the modular setup that they did with the modular sensor and so on and so forth, that's it. So that's a non-issue for me, but it could be a huge issue for you. The other thing that's kind of interesting is that this RGB light in the back, it's not hot to the touch by any stretch of the imagination. If so, it's just chilling here for hours. I can come over and I can touch it, and it's not even warm. However, if I have my hand on the mouse, creating, I guess, maybe a conduit from my hand to the light, as I'm using it, what's kind of strange is you feel this warmth right where the light would be, right on my hand, which isn't horrible. The cool thing is you can always disable the light, but that's what it's all about, right? You want the bling, you want the lights, that's why you bought it, RGB light. But it's not bad, but I'm in Inferno, California right now, so you definitely feel it when I'm on game sessions and I'm using the mouse for an hour plus easily. You do notice that it gets a little warm just right on your palm, which is kind of unfortunate. I don't know if there's any other way they can have done it. I'm not sure. I just know that coming, like I said, from my previous mouse, it didn't have lighting on it. It might be common. I don't know, but it does. You do feel a little warmth on your palm when you're using it. Like I can feel it right now just from this video that the warmth is there. It doesn't continue getting warmer. It doesn't get hot. It's just kind of odd because you're not used to feeling that like warm sensation in your palm. So that's not, it's not a deal breaker. It's just kind of like oddness. What did surprise me though is when I plop this mouse down, same mouse pad, same everything, the drag of the mouse, the feet. I mean, it's got feet. It's got 2 feet in the front, nice big foot in the back. I was surprised that it had more drag than my Corsair M60. Now, granted, that could get better over time, with the feet getting worn and smoothed out to your, specific mouse pad. I'm not sure, but after a week, I'm used to it, but it definitely has like a little bit more drag than my heavier Corsair M60, which is just heavier by a little bit, but the Corsair M60 was like, slid. It just took off. So that's one thing that that was a little bit to get used to, because when you're going for those twitch shots or moving, you expect it to move a certain way, and this had a little bit more drag. So that was a little odd. Another little is again neutral, not really con, is that it has an OLED screen. So for people that don't know, OLED screens have a tendency to ghost. So if you have a still image on there, it will ghost on it. The good news is, unlike monitors, when you get ghosting on monitors, freaking terrifying. The good news is that ghosting on OLEDs will go away as you continue to use it. So if you see a ghost image and you have a moving GIF, then the ghost image will go away as you continue to use it and the GIF continues to move around. So that's pretty cool that it goes away. It's not cool that it has a ghost image. Like, for example, right from the factory, it comes with a SteelSeries logo on it. And when I changed the logo, I don't know how long these mice have been on prior, but when I changed the logo from just plugging in right away, they had a pretty heavy ghost image of SteelSeries. And I don't know if you can see on the video, but there's no ghost image anymore. It all went away. But it's quite terrifying when you have a brand new mouse and you're like, whoa, crap, there's big old ghosting on this little screen that I have. So that was kind of surprising. The good news is it does go away, so that's cool. Another thing is that GIFs will stop playing in sleep mode, so that's that's not a deal breaker, just something to think about. And also in Gamesense, GIFs stop, but if it's not supported by Gamesense, then it will continue playing. The biggest con that I can think is that for me, running Windows 7 64-bit stable machine, when it returns from sleep, when the computer returns from sleep, it doesn't happen every time, but sometimes the software simply refuses to detect the mouse. And of course, the mouse still works, but the tactile feedback, Gamesense, and the lighting tied to the games don't. None of that works because the software can't detect the mouse. So the only thing I figured out how to fix it is to reboot the machine. So that's a pretty big con. I don't know what's going on there. Hopefully they'll fix it with an update on either the firmware of the mouse or the software not detecting it. I'm not too sure who's at fault, but that's something that does need to be addressed. As I said, the only way I've tried restarting the software, and that doesn't change it. It does not detect it until you reboot the machine that I've found. So speaking of Gamesense, I'm going to throw a clip up. The Gamesense is pretty cool. Again, a little, well, the tactile feedback I don't say is gimmicky. The tactile feedback is actually pretty sweet, and you can have it do anything you want. You can have it vibrate for headshots, or for kills, I should say. You can get different vibrations, like round start, different things. I mean, like it does a lot. I have also health, so when I'm under 15% health in game, granted I have the health on the screen, I can see it, but it does give a little added effect that I have a little heartbeat. So when I'm under 15% health, a little heartbeat just goes doot 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 doot. It's like slower than that, but it just goes like that until the round's over, and either I die or I win. So until your health gets above 15, it'll keep vibrating like a little heartbeat, and that's pretty sweet. I actually think that's pretty cool. And then the lighting. So like I said, I'm going to throw something on the screen right now. Hopefully it'll look really sweet. But it shows your health. So as you're playing the game and someone's shooting you, now granted, you're not going to be looking at your mouse when you're playing. I know that, but it's just a little added flair, a little bell and whistle. So as your health goes down, I have it set to go from green down to red, and it goes in between those. And then also when you're under a certain percentage, it flashes red, and then it just, that's it. So that's pretty cool. Again, kind of gimmicky, but just an added little thing. That's kind of neat. So I'm hoping more games will support Gamesense. At least the tactile alerts will be sweet. Right now it's only Counter-Strike Global Offensive, Dota 2, and Minecraft, and all I play out of those three are Counter-Strike. If someone, there is an SDK, so if someone way more talented than me wants to make a SDK or use the SDK and make a Gamesense for Overwatch, I will love you, and you'll be my best friend. And so just hit me up. That'd be sweet. That'd be cool, because I'm starting to get into Overwatch and there's no Gamesense report, and letting me know that my super's ready or cooldowns are over, that would be wonderful. You'd be my new best friend. So there is an SDK out, so I'm hoping we'll see a lot of mods coming out over the future. And Steelcase even stated that they're trying to work with devs to utilize their API from out the gate, so we don't have to depend on mods. Mods are great, but if you can get the developers to do it, that'll be even better. So that's the Gamesense is fun. The tactile alerts are fun. The Ergo is great. It feels good in the hand. The cons are that it's going to be a weight issue for some people. It's the software is the biggest con for me personally. Everything else I like. I mean, I like that I can screw around and put GIFs. I know it's stupid and doesn't mean anything, but I can, it's just fun. I like that the buttons are huge. I like the mouse wheel feels nice when you use it. But the biggest thing for me is the software that stops recognizing the mouse out of sleep. It doesn't happen every time, but it does happen every once in a while, and that's kind of disappointing. The only other little info I have is that you can get a new, remove the modular optical sensor and get a laser sensor, and you can get a PixArt 9800 laser. And the cost of that from SteelSeries' site is $24.99. And that's not horrible, in my opinion. I mean, I feel like they could have gouged it and be like, $60 for a sensor. So $24.99 for a replacement sensor if you want to go to laser and you don't like the optical, or if you're on like a glass surface, for example. I know opticals don't work too well on glass, so laser would be where you want to go. So it would come with a PixArt 9800 laser if you purchase that. And also the only other thing available is a top cover pack. It comes with a sleek and glossy cover, which I don't know why anybody would want, because sleek and glossy is fingerprint magnet, dust magnet, kind of gets sweaty. And then they also comes in that same pack a textured anti-sweat finish. It just looks like maybe like a rubberized back plate. So this is kind of like semi-textured, but it's just like plastic. The other one looks maybe like it's a rubberized plastic, but it also looks like it covers up this light. So I'm wondering if that's their answer to the warmness. You know, and you could disable it, of course. So if from the picture, it doesn't look like it allows the light to come through. It may. I mean, I haven't seen pictures of it with it on a mouse, but the cover doesn't look like it has this logo in the back. So that is for $14.99. So you get 2 back plates for $14.99. And then, of course, I'm not sure if everyone's aware, but you can see if I can get that in the light. But it says Rival. So if you have a 3D printer, they have the schematic to download, and you can pop this out and put whatever you want on the back there. So again, it's a SteelSeries Rival 700 that you can get for $99.99 with free shipping from SteelSeries website or your local equivalent. And those are my thoughts. I hope you enjoy the video. Let me know if there's anything I can do better. I'm sure there's plenty I could do better. I just thought I would let people kind of see the mouse and kind of give you my first impressions. And you guys all have a great day.